Back in the fall of 1998, I had the privilege of leading a really unique group of Canadians on a trip across the country. And let me tell you, it was a journey that would challenge everything we thought we knew about our own nation.
You see, this whole trip was born from a deep, deep concern. Just 3 years earlier, back in '95, Canada had come incredibly close to breaking apart during the Quebec sovereignty referendum. As citizens who had chosen to make this country our home, we just felt we had to understand why it was threatening to fracture like that.
So we put a committee together. We were a mix of people, community leaders, journalists, educators, all of us from Vancouver.
But the most important thing about us wasn't our job titles. It was our shared history. Every single one of us was a first-generation immigrant. We had chosen Canada. We'd put down roots here. And the idea of our adopted home just breaking apart, that was something we just couldn't stand by and watch. Our mission was actually pretty simple. It was all about self-education. We weren't going there to lecture anyone, we were going there to listen. We really wanted to understand why some folks in Quebec wanted to leave Canada and what we, as their fellow citizens, could possibly do to help.
So, our journey kicked off in the nation's capital, Ottawa. And again, we weren't there to give our opinions, we were there to learn about the federal government's perspective on the whole situation.
And to really get that perspective, we were lucky enough to meet with the people right at the very top. Prime Minister Jean Chrétien and his Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, a man named Stéphane Dion.
And it was something Minister Dion said that really, truly hit home for us. He didn't just talk about politics or economics. He framed separatism as a moral mistake.
His argument was that a strong, united, multicultural Canada was the absolute best way to protect the rights of all minorities. For us, as newcomers, this wasn't just some abstract political theory. We felt it in our bones. Our security, our rights, they were all tied to the strength of Canada. I mean, if the country fell apart, where would that leave people like us?
But look, we knew we couldn't understand Quebec by just talking to politicians in Ottawa. Our real education, that was going to have to happen at the source.
We had to hear from the people at the very heart of the sovereignty movement. We needed to understand their hopes and their fears directly from them.
Our first stop in Quebec City gave us this really powerful, silent message. We're visiting the National Assembly, and we look up and see the Quebec flag flying, and the U.S. flag right next to it. But the Canadian flag? It was nowhere to be seen. It was such a stark symbol of a deeply distinct identity.
From there, we went even deeper into the province, into the Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean region. This place was known as the absolute heartland of the separatist movement. And for the first time on our trip, we hit a real language barrier. We really felt like we were in a different world.
Honestly, we were expecting some political tension, maybe even a bit of hostility, but what we found instead, it was just overwhelming hospitality. Mayors were holding receptions for us, we were treated to these incredible dinners of beaver consomme and roast wapiti. They even printed menus for us in French, English, and Chinese.
All of this incredible warmth, this welcome, it led to the emotional and intellectual turning point of our entire journey. It just completely shattered all our preconceived notions.
I'll never forget it. One night, we were having our own internal meeting, and something just remarkable happened. After days of just listening to the local people, some of our own delegates, and these were staunch Federalists, admitted that if they had grown up there with that history and that constant pressure to protect their language, they too might be separatists. It was this profound moment of empathy.
That's when we started to really understand this key idea, cultural security. The desire to separate, it wasn't just about politics or money. It came from this deep, legitimate fear of losing their language, their culture, their whole identity in this massive sea of English-speaking North America.
It was like a light bulb went off for all of us. We finally got it. You couldn't win unity with economic arguments alone. You had to show respect for their identity. You had to prove to them that being Canadian didn't mean they had to lose who they were. Just like being Chinese Canadian didn't mean we had to lose who we were.
So we returned to Vancouver with a completely transformed perspective and this renewed sense of purpose. Our work wasn't over. In a lot of ways, it was really just beginning.
Our new mission was crystal clear. We had to take these stories of incredible hospitality and cultural pride back to our own community in BC. We had 10 media representatives with us to help share everything we learned. And the biggest lesson? National unity isn't something you just achieve and then it's done. It's like infrastructure. You have to maintain it and build on it every single day.
In the end, what we learned was that as immigrants, as citizens who had chosen this country, we couldn't just be passive passengers along for the ride. Our role was to be bridge builders. And back in 1998, just by choosing to listen instead of lecture, we helped build a small but I think important bridge between West and East. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What bridges are left for all of us to build today?